Hello, and welcome to Addicted Like Us, a podcast discussing all things written by Krista and Becca Ritchie. I'm your host, Haley, and today I have Sarah, aka Dragonfly Reads, with me to talk about Fuel the Fire, Book 8 in the Addicted series. A quick recap, I'm Haley, a longtime reader and lover of Krista and Becca's work. I'm also a part-time illustrator, and I had the privilege of working on the special edition covers for the Leica series. Now, I just love to spend my time talking about all of my favorite books, aka anything written by KBR. So the Addicted Like Us podcast was created so I could sit down with friends and discuss all of our thoughts. So let me reintroduce you to Sarah.
Hi, I'm Sarah. Same thing from the last few episodes. I am a longtime reader, a longtime Krista and Becca Ritchie fangirl, and I am just happy to be here.
We're happy to have you. Before we go any further, just a big spoiler warning. We're going to be talking about hopefully the very last bit of Fuel the Fire today. Obviously, we're going to be talking about the ending. We're going to be talking about the whole thing. Spoiler warning, if you have not read it, come back after you have.
If you have not read it, what the hell are you waiting for?
Yeah, truly. Get
No
on
offense.
it. You've got time. I mean, this is about the Cobalt family. We're about to have the Cobalt Empire series come
Oh
out
my God.
in September. As I was waiting for you to set up, Krista and Becca posted a reel about when does the Cobalt Empire comes out. And I was like, okay, good reminder. I'm in the Cobalt mood now.
I haven't even looked at Instagram except to message you this morning, so I am behind.
It's okay.
It's fine.
Yeah, it's fine. Just know the Cobalt Empire is coming September 2nd, 2025. I'm ready. And if you haven't read these books, get ready.
Yes, please. You've got time. You have 8 months. Read them all.
Yeah.
Get going.
Well, yeah. As a quick recap of what has gone down in this book so far. Basically, Rose and Connor have been conducting an experiment to try and keep media attention away from their children, or their daughter and Lillian Lowe's son, by basically feeding fake-ish headlines to the media. They're coming up with headlines themselves to draw attention away from Jane and Moffy. And we spent basically the first half of the book watching them come up with all of these different headlines. And it has turned around and bitten them in the butt. And basically, Jonathan Hale, Lowe's dad, took it upon himself to find all of the men that Connor has slept with in his past and urged them to break their NDAs and go to the media, and he outed Connor, essentially, which has caused this media frenzy of, well, Rose and Connor were coming up with these headlines because they knew this news was coming, and they're trying to hide Connor's sexuality, and actually Rose and Connor's relationship isn't even real. He doesn't love her. Jane is just there. It's like a cover-up. All of these...
Rose is a beard. My God.
Yeah. All of these horrible things. And we basically left off with them learning to face, or them coming to terms with what they will be facing in the coming months with the paparazzi attention. And the other thing to mention is that Scott Van Wright, the executive producer, Princesses of Philly, who has Rose and Connor sex tapes, he lives in the neighborhood with them, and Connor is currently trying to befriend Scott in an effort to, one, get the sex tapes, and then two, eradicate him from their lives somehow. So I think that's the brief summary.
Yeah, and regarding Connor and his sexuality, he doesn't want to label himself, and everyone's wanting, well, not everyone, but PR people are wanting him to pick a label and figure it out. But Connor, he is what he is who he is, and he doesn't have to explain himself.
Exactly. So yeah, we're going to pick up with chapter 41, which is a pretty iconic chapter because I hear this audio all the time, which is basically that Rose and Connor are taking Jane to the doctor for one of her infant checkups, and their limousine is absolutely surrounded by paparazzi following them, wanting the scoop, and Jane is really upset by all of this shouting around the limo. So Rose is like, Mommy's going to dropkick anyone that touches you, and Daddy is going to bail Mommy out of jail. Mommy will be within her full rights to assassinate any vile creature that harms her baby.
I love that Connor also is giving Rose earplugs to give to Jane.
Yes, so sweet.
Poor little Jane.
They absolutely gonna protect their baby, cover her ears. They're gonna cover her too, and essentially their whole plan is when they exit the limo, Jane's gonna be sandwiched between them, Connor in front and Rose holding her, and they'll just walk in a line. So that's what they attempt to do, and they do have security around them. We're seeing more of the security team, but the paparazzi have just like, there's so many of them that security's kind of overrun, and it's really just Rose and Connor in a sea of people just trying to get in their faces. Mm-hmm. And then what happens is Rose's hair gets caught on like a zipper or something. We don't know what it is, but something gets caught. Her hair gets caught on something like out of her temple, and she's stuck, obviously, and Connor keeps moving and they get separated. And everyone is just being so rabid around them that she's about to fall over. She's afraid she's going to fall over, and she's holding Jane. She doesn't want to risk her child. So she says, fuck it, and just like hurls forward and tears the hair out of her, like scalps herself to just break free, get in the doctor's office. And it's so hectic. Connor's obviously very worried about Rose. Like she's injured. She's scalped herself. And like, where was security? Security was supposed to be protecting us. He gives them a talking to. They should have been there to protect them. They kind of
they dropped the ball on that.
Yeah, that's the phrase I was looking for. But then they do get to the doctor's office. Rose is definitely in shock. And Connor's just trying to take care of both of them, like her and Jane at this point. He's like, it's so awful. He gets gauze to like dab at this injury, and it gets really red. And Rose mentions like he can't even find a white spot, like a clean white spot to dab up this blood. So it's gnarly. It's a gnarly injury. And she is just stressed about everything, and you can see it in her OCD. She's like looking around at the disorder in the waiting room, and Connor's just trying to distract her.
And all the while, Jane is still hysterical.
Yeah, she's like pulling around. She's pulling on her hair too. It's like, no, let's leave Mommy's hair alone for a little bit.
Yeah. And she asks for her lion, and Jane says, I hope you never question how much I love you, Jane.
Rose is a lion. She's a fierce lion that will protect her lion cub. But Connor's like, you're in complete control with me. You're in the neatest room you've ever been in with the smartest man you've ever seen, and there's nothing we can't do. Repeat it. And she's like, you would want me to repeat the part where you're the smartest man.
Right.
And just to like bring some normalcy to the situation, Rose does what she does with Connor and quizzes him on what's the question she asks? Which 16th century scientist is often said to have stopped the sun and moved the earth? And Connor's he's distracted. He is off kilter in this moment, which is understandable, but he gets the question wrong. And the whole thing is, if you get the question wrong, I ignore you for the rest of the day. And well, he got the question wrong, so they gotta abide by the rules.
She cannot break the rules.
No.
It's not part of her nature.
Well, she thinks about it for a second, too, of like, what if we just let it go for extenuating circumstances? And then it's like, but then what's the whole point of the game? Like, you win and you don't actually win anything, or you lose and there's actually no consequences.
Right.
So they decide, like, after the doctor's appointment, she's going to ignore Connor for an entire day. And Connor's like, yeah, this is a punishment for me, but let's be honest, this is a punishment for you too.
Right.
We talk to each other constantly throughout the day. She's like, I can handle this. Let me savor this win I have over you before you tell me that I've lost too. But the next chapter, they're at home. It's the hot-tempered triad. They drew random names to make dinner, and the hot-tempered triad winds up being the group that's going to make pizza for dinner. It's going very slow. Rose is being very meticulous, and I mean, she's got her OCD. She's being very clean about everything. I think she's dealing with the dough, but like you get flour on your hands, and she's like cleaning her hands after like every time she touches the dough. It's taking a long time, and Reich is just, he's not neat. He hasn't cut a lot of pepperoni either. I think she's like, he's cut 2 slices of pepperoni. It's not enough. But they talk about like Connor should be swapped in so that it can be the guys doing this. And Reich's like, you don't want to talk to Connor right now. He's really moody, which, yeah, I mean, Rose was hurt while he was there, like, and his child, like...
Rose nor Connor should be making dinner. Like, they need a break tonight.
They do. They really do. They had a day.
Right. It's been a day.
That was like a morning appointment, too. So, like, that was a first thing in the morning kind of thing. So the first thing they talk about has a couple of things he wants to talk about. The first thing is that Willow, his half-sister, the world does not know that Willow is his half-sister. Everyone thinks she's just his cousin, but she is a relation to the famous families. And she is like this outside person. Like, she lives in an apartment in Philly. She doesn't live in the gated neighborhood with the rest of them. So she's kind of like this, the media could see her as like a weak link going after her. She's been followed home, and it's scared her a little bit. So Lo is asking if it's okay if Willow moves into one of the extra bedrooms that they have in the house. Mm-hmm. And Rose is in full support of this. And then they talk about... Rose wants to know how Daisy's doing, and Reich brings up the fact that Poppy has spoken to him about this idea of taking a break. Since Daisy is so young, in Poppy's head, when Poppy was younger, she took a break with Sam, and she felt like it was good for their relationship, and she thinks because Daisy's so young and, like, this is her first really serious relationship, maybe she needs to take a break. So Reich brings this up to Rose. Rose is like, is that what you want? Is that what Daisy wants? Like, don't listen to Poppy. Listen to what you guys want.
I hate Poppy. Honestly, I kind of hate Poppy.
She has these tiny moments, but like, girl, what are we doing here? Why?
Right. Like, you don't Poppy does not understand Reich and Daisy's dynamic.
Yeah.
Whatsoever.
If you truly saw the two of them together, like the fact that Lily and Rose live with Daisy and are like becoming her closest sisters, like, and they're not out here saying, I think Reich and Daisy should take a break. Lily's over here like, please never break up. I need you guys to be together forever. I think this is amazing for both of you. Like, Poppy, no.
I mean, I get it, but no. Daisy's young, but she's been around the world. She's seen so much. She's done so much at such a young age. She's been with other guys. Yeah. No, they don't need to take a break. Come on. Be real.
Yeah, no. And Rose does say, like, what was good for Poppy and Sam is not necessarily good for you. Like, every couple is different. And Reich, it's so sweet. Reich goes, I know, but I want to marry that girl one day. And it just really fucking sucks because I'd get down on one knee tomorrow if people in her family didn't hate us together. But Rose is over here like, oh my God, he wants to marry my sister.
It's so good. Well, and like, but that's the thing. It's not like they have this tumultuous relationship. They are so perfect and perfectly ingrained into each other's lives and work so well together. Why would they need to take a break? It's not like they're having weird feelings about each other and like they're in a weird spot. The ultimate caretaker for Daisy's mental health. Why would they need a break from that? That would be detrimental for Daisy.
And we're going to learn, like, Daisy's been going through some things. We'll talk about it a little later. And Reich has been the only one there for her. Nobody else knows what's going on with Daisy right now. It's just like,
I know.
There's zero
That chapter makes me sob. I don't want to do it.
I was skimming through it, and I was like, oh my God, I'm crying right now. It hurts. They have that discussion, and Rose is just like, oh my God, Reich wants to marry my sister. She's found the love of her life. I love this. But then the next thing that Lo wants to bring up is he's like, I want to have a whole house meeting, and he won't say what the house meeting is about, but everyone gathers together and they want to, the babies are almost a year old, and they want to make sure that they have godparents. Like, the fact that Rose was injured, she seems like this untouchable figure to even the rest of the core six, and she was injured while taking her daughter to the doctors. So it's like, these are things that they need to think about. God forbid anything truly horrific happens to them, but like, they want that safety net. And they,
like, if something happens to unpenetrable Rose, something
yeah,
can happen to anyone.
right. So the whole thing is like, all right, well, Rose and Connor, I mean, Lily and Lo are like, listen, we would be honored to be the godparents to your kids, but also if you really wanted 8 kids, that's a lot for us. As like,
yeah,
1 kid was a lot for us to grapple with as addicts. Suddenly being given 8 kids in a disaster, it could be hard on them.
right.
Lo's the one that's like, maybe you guys should pick Reich and Daisy to be your godparents. I mean, that's where they were leading. Connor's like, we were thinking about them anyway. Rose was like, you didn't need to tell them that. But also the fact that Connor was like, yeah, Reich was, I would trust Reich with my children, despite our antagonistic relationship. Like, I truly do trust him.
It's huge.
With my daughter. So Reich and Daisy are now Rose and Connor's, the godparents to Rose and Connor's kids. And then Daisy offers up Coconut. She's like, who's going to be the godparent to Coconut if anything happens? And I think she tells Lily and Lo, like, you'll be the godparents to Coconut, because Lily and Lo are more dog people. Rose and Connor are definitely the cat people in the family. And Rose feels sad. She's like, great. So Reich and Daisy are going to be the godparents to my kids. Lily and Lo are going to be the godparents to the like, they're the fun, like, happy. They're Rose and Connor are the more serious couple of all 6 of them, and she's like, nobody's gonna pick us. Like, they want the fun, happy-go-lucky couples to watch their kids too. So Rose is like, Lo, just pick your brother as the godparents to Mafi, and let's move on. And she like tries to shut it down. She's like, great, we figured it out. And I was like, my kid needs a godparent too. And she's like, you're gonna pick your brother. Like, we don't need to go through this song and dance. And what does he say? Of course you have to make this hard for me. If you end up raising Mafi, I hope he learns how to be tough from you. You know you're a kick-ass mom, right? I know you love Mafi as fiercely as you love Jane, and we'd be at peace knowing he's with you.
Yeah.
Sweet.
And really, it makes sense because Mafi and Jane are basically like twins.
They are. They were born a month apart. They've gone through, it gets talked about a lot more in the Leica series, but yeah, I mean, they're going through very similar experiences. Yeah. Growing up as children to famous people, and yeah, they're very close knit. So yeah, it definitely makes sense. But I just love, like, Lo says also, I'm pretty sure you would rip out your hair for my son too. And she's like, I would 100%.
Absolutely.
She's a fierce lioness. She will take care of all of the kids. Nobody should be questioning her maternal nature. God. That's what the media throwing that out there. Fuck them. But yeah, so Rose and Connor are going to be the godparents to Lily and Lo's kids. So then throughout all of this, Rose is also just like, she's being very emotional. She can't talk to Connor through any of this. This was an emotional conversation for her, and she like she starts crying at one point and has to hide it, and Connor's like looking at her and she's like, I can't talk to you. But it's now the evening. They're getting ready for bed. Connor is very frustrated because he has not been able to talk with her all day. He's been ignored by her. Yeah. So he's kind of like pushing the boundaries a little bit. He keeps talking to her and she's like trying to ignore him. They're in the bathroom and she's finished with everything she's doing in there and turns off the light while he's still in there. But get into bed together. She's like, they're both feeling horny. She's like, maybe I'll just touch myself and he won't notice. Connor notices, and basically they decide that like she has to ignore him, but he doesn't have to ignore her. There's the loophole.
Right.
So he's going, like, they're going to have sex. She just can't talk to him, which is what they do. And then they wake up in the morning and once again, he she has shared this was her strange sexual fantasy in Kiss the Sky, that like she would wake up and he would be having sex with her. And they did it in Kiss the Sky, but like he continues to fulfill this sexual fantasy of hers. So she wakes up to him having sex with her right as the clock runs out on his punishment. So
Right.
they can finally speak together, speak to each other. But they have sex and he comes inside her, and they have this discussion of like, can you see any loopholes or ways around what we decided, which was, if the media is such a problem, then we can only have Jane. We're not going to bring any more kids into this horrible mess. That was what they decided at the very beginning of the book. And with this media frenzy surrounding Connor and Rose, they're like, well, can we have another kid? And Connor's like, no, I don't see another way around this. And she tells him that he should wear a condom the next time they have sex. Which is just, it's so sad.
I hate that for them.
I know. She's like, he's going to fight me on it. He's going to say, not yet. And instead he goes, I will. Translation, we're done having children together. Just, no. Because even in the chapter where they're talking about the godparents, they say, like, we're only going to have Jane. But Lily and Lo and Reich and Daisy are like, you can't let this media circus dictate how large your family is going to be. Like, if you guys really wanted 8 kids, you should have your 8 kids. So, like, in my head, I'm sitting here like, everyone's telling them they can do it. They're going to do it. Like, who cares what this agreement was between them? And then we get to this chapter where they're like, no, we are actually going to stick to that. And only the one kid. And I'm like,
and
I don't like it.
It feels like the closing of our future. All I see is a massive door trying to swing shut on our dreams. The ones we've built together, raising 8 children together. Maybe you should wear a condom next time.
No! It hurts so much.
I have tears in my eyes.
I know. I hate thinking. Fuck the media. I hate that. I hate it.
It's terrible.
Yeah. I just, we know the future. We have the magical ball. We can see into the future, and we know what's coming. It's okay. I just have to tell myself everything's okay. I just have to push through this last bit of the book where they have crazy ideas in their head right now. No kids. No more kids. So yeah, the next chapter, Connor is hanging out with Scott again. Or he has just finished hanging out with Scott. Connor's leaving Scott's house, going back to his own house, and like the chapter starts off with, I misjudged you during Princesses of Philly, Connor. You're actually cool, Connor. So he's still continuing to try and is ingratiate the word I'm looking for? Ingratiate himself with Scott. Befriend Scott, get on his good side.
Yeah.
He's clearly doing it. Scott thinks Connor's cool now. But as soon as he leaves his house, he's on the phone with Frederick. Remind me, Rick, why do people choose to feel?
Yeah.
Emotions stifle
Connor
me.
Connor is not built for feelings. And him feeling is so strange for him. It's like new territory.
Because he's a man who gets what he wants, and emotions and feelings can get in the way of that. Because what he wants in this instance is to take Scott down, get the sex tapes back. He's doing that by befriending Scott, but it means essentially he gets back to the house, Rose can tell something's wrong, and she gets it out of him that he had to degrade her. They watched one of the sex tapes that Scott has in his possession that he's not shared it, he's not sold it, but Connor had to sit and watch this sex tape watch it of him having sex with Rose and degrade her to Scott. And he feels disgusting with himself. He feels so bad. He loves Rose wholeheartedly, and to say these vile things about her is just, he feels gross with himself. And if he didn't have those feelings, he would have been totally fine getting through that, but it hurt him to say those things about her. And he's like trying to shut himself down, and Rose is over here like, no, you need to let yourself feel. I forgive you for whatever he doesn't tell her what he said, but she's like, I forgive you for whatever it was that you said. And this is he starts crying, and this is the moment where we really see that Connor has had so much on his plate. He has been juggling. It started out as him and Rose juggling what to feed to the media and like kind of besmirching their reputations with all of these headlines just to distract the media from Rose. And then dealing with Scott also being a new parent. Like, there's so much on his plate. And now with the media frenzy too. Like, all of it is just piling on him. He needs a break, which is what he tells Rose. But this whole chapter where Rose is like, Connor is putting up this, he's trying to put this mask, this unfeeling mask on to like get himself through it. And Rose is like, you cannot fool me. And talks about like how he had to lie, and she's like, I could tell that it hurt you. He lied about it when he met up with Scott at Saturn Bridges that we talked about in the last episode, and she's like, I could tell that hurt you. He's like, how could you tell? She goes, it was in the corner of your eye. And he's like, what are you talking about? But like, she can see he can put up these masks. He thinks he's putting up these masks with her, but she can see right through him.
She can see his tells. Absolutely.
Which I attribute to that whole conversation that they also had in the car, which is she's his soulmate. She can see through all of him. She talks about how like everyone loves this awful, cowardly, fake versions of you. They love the lesser you because they don't even know the real one.
I have that bookmarked. She fuels the fire in my soul, the embers slowly dying, and she tries feverishly to awaken me. There we have it.
So good. but yeah, so the chapter basically ends with like this breaking point for Connor, and he needs time to just decompress from everything that he's been dealing with. So Rose is like, done. That's what you need. I got it taken care of. Ensemble. So the next chapter, they are all driving to an undetermined location at this point. They're going somewhere, and it's Lily. I believe Lily's driving. Rose is in the front seat, and then Willow, and Connor, and then the babies are in that car, and then Rake and Daisy and Coconut are in a white Ferrari that Daisy has. And she's a bit of a crazy driver.
Picture it.
Yeah, I mean, essentially, they're in the Smoky Mountains. I don't know if they say it in this chapter, but we know that's where it is. They're in the Smoky Mountains.
That's a far drive.
That is a very far drive.
I mean, Philadelphia to Tennessee, that's really far.
Yeah. I've done Philadelphia to
But
Maryland.
that's what they do for...
That was a lot.
Yeah. That's what they would do for anonymity, to be able to have some quiet time.
Yeah. They were able to escape the media for this. No one's following them at this point. It's just them.
Right.
There's the funny moment with like, right, how many times has Daisy driven this car? And she's like, Quattro, why are you in the Deathmobile? But they get to this secure secret location. And it's the lake house, which is very, very iconic for this whole series. I can't believe we're at book 8 finally seeing the lake house, because it's just like, it is their place. It becomes their place, but this is the first time we see it.
It is the first time we see it?
Yeah, they just bought it. This is...
And then Some Kind of Perfect is like the epitome of the lake house at the end.
Yeah. But it does just like feel like their space. And I think it's funny that it's at the very end of book 8.
Yeah, they finally get this quiet space.
Mm-hmm. But it's a big house, and Rose says it's purposely big. It's so that they can grow their families into this house. And I just think about, oh my gosh, I'm just thinking about some of the Patreon bonuses that like talk about it more. I think in A Very Addicted Christmas, they run out of space. They like have to squeeze people, but they unpack the cars. Rose is really excited to be in this house. She says it has good energy, and Connor's like, you brought candles, didn't you? But this part too just like touches my heart, because she talks about wanting to do sleepover things. So she wants to do a seance and light as a feather, stiff as a board, face mask, dessert, and maybe even the Ouija board if Lily's not too frightened. Apparently, when we were younger, we always forgot about Daisy during slumber parties. She was there, but we'd leave her out somehow. And I talked about this in the hothouse flower bonus scene. And Daisy are sharing like some of their sad memories, and one of Daisy's sad memories is being at a sleepover with her sisters, and she was having so much fun. And then Lo, the party crasher, came in, distracted Lily. Poppy went up to talk with Sam, and then it was just Rose and Daisy, and Rose went off by herself, and Daisy was like, I really wanted to have the sleepover with you.
Right.
And I love that Rose is like, okay, we've got to fix that. Poor Daisy. So
I don't have any. I have 4 brothers, so all I ever wanted was a sister to be able to do things like that with. So yeah, makes me sad.
I only had 1 brother, so I didn't have a giant family, but yeah, I also wanted a sister very badly. But they decide that they're going to unpack the car. Willow offers at one point to unpack the car by herself, let everyone else go into the house and check things out first, and she'll start getting things out of the car. She also wants to call her mom, and they're like, yeah, okay, we'll go in. And then once they are settled in the house, they start this sleepover. They're gonna start with light as a feather, stiff as a board first, and they're gonna lift Reich. So the girls start lifting Reich, and they do, and then Lily is so shocked she breaks the chant, because you're supposed to say light as a feather, stiff as a board, light as a feather, stiff as a board. She goes, holy shit, and then Reich topples over and lands on Rose. I just think it's funny that we get a Wizard of Oz mention. He's like, Reich literally landed on Rose. It's like a scene out of Wizard of Oz.
It's just so funny that they would do this. Like, I feel like this is so above something Rose would ever do.
On the one hand, yes, but on the other hand, this is the woman who plays fuck, marry, kill with her husband, and
That's true. She still has a little juvenile heart in her.
Which is funny, because while they're doing light as a feather, there's light as a feather, stiff as a board, and Lo pops in with a light as a feather, stiff as a cock, and she's like, you need to be more mature, you're 25. Okay, all right, Rose. But after that, they decide that they're going to do a seance and try and call on old Aunt Margot, which is their great Aunt Margot. And Connor's like, why did you call her old? Like, she's your great aunt. They're like, I don't know. We just always called her old Aunt Margot. That was our thing. But they attempt to call on her, and there's a storm going on outside. So there's a lightning crack, and it startles everyone. Definitely gets Daisy, Daisy suffers from PTSD, so it spikes her anxiety. And then after that lightning strike, there's another noise, but this time it sounds like it comes from inside the house, like an object fell over, which means that there's someone else in this lake house with them, because everyone's downstairs. Everyone that we know.
And, well, in the first lightning strike, everyone's freaking out, and Daisy goes, old Aunt Margot, can you hear us? But then the second one...
Yeah, but then the second one is there's a sound from upstairs that really gets her scared. Like someone's broken in, one of her really big fears. So Lily books it upstairs because, oh my God, the babies are upstairs.
Mm-hmm.
And Rose is about to go after to get Jane, but she's watching Connor, who's watching Willow, and Willow books it upstairs with purpose. And Connor is immediately suspicious of this, so he follows after Willow. Rose follows, and they go up to a spare bedroom and find a stowaway. Garrison Abbey is upstairs. He accidentally knocked over a lamp when the lightning struck, and then stepped on it, so he's got glass in his foot. He's got a bad cut on his foot. But he blew their cover. He was just meant to be hiding up there. And they basically learned that Willow snuck him to the lake house. She took his phone. He does not have his phone with him, so he doesn't know where they are. They tried really hard to bring him, but make sure that they weren't ruining this idea that the Core Six want this location to be secret. They don't want the world to know where they are. And Willow was trying to respect that while also bringing along this guy that the Core Six feels so about. He tormented them in the last book.
He really wants to redeem himself.
Yes. And Rose is like, I understand what it means to be loyal, but you shouldn't have kept this from us. If you wanted to bring your boyfriend along, we could have worked something out. And they're like, we're not dating. He's not my boyfriend. We're not boyfriend girlfriend. But would it be better if we were? And Connor's like, it would be exponentially worse.
Poor Garrison.
Yeah, poor Garrison. So Rose goes to check on Daisy because obviously Daisy was had a panic attack because of
Yeah.
the noises. So Willow wants to go check on Daisy, and that leaves Connor to talk with Garrison, and Reich and Lowe also show up to talk with him, and they like trying to urge him, like, do you want to go to the hospital? What do you want to do to take care of your foot? Poor Garrison's over here like, I was just trying, like, I got kicked out of Faust. We learned that earlier in the book that his parents took him out of Dalton Academy and decided to move him to Faust instead, and he flunked
Connor's
out.
alma mater.
Yeah, that's where Connor went, which is, we kind of saw that the differences between Connor and Garrison. We could already sense that Garrison probably would not succeed at that school. Yeah, he did not. He flunked out, but he hasn't told his parents. So he's been hiding in superheroes and scones. He was up at school in New York and has come back to Philly without anybody but Willow knowing. But we see like how much Garrison cares for her. He's like, there's some dumb stormtrooper nerd named Declan that like hangs around superheroes and scones and like always wants to talk with her. And like, oh, jealous Garrison. Because they're just friends, but are you really just friends?
Yeah.
And Garrison feels so bad because Willow's the only one that knows about this, and she's been trying to keep his secret for him. And she wanted to bring him along just because if she wasn't in Philly, like, how could he get into superheroes and scones? Like, all of these logistics kind of thing. So she brought him with her to the lake house, and he was trying really hard not to make this harder for her. She's doing this huge thing, potentially breaking the Core Six's trust in her by bringing along this stowaway, and he didn't want to ruin those relationships for her, which, sin.
Right.
And he feels really bad that he's ruined it by, one, blurting his presence, but also injuring his foot, which means that they might have to go to a hospital. And now, like, there's no chance that they're going to go to a hospital and people won't recognize them.
Right.
And they'll know they're in the area, and this secret location for the lake house will have been ruined already. And they offer, no, we'll take the glass out for you. But I love it too. There's a moment where it's Connor, Reich, and Lowe, and Connor, he looks between Connor and Reich like, I thought you hated each other, because based off tabloids, it would appear that way. We're good friends. Reich answers that before Connor can even get his answer in, and he goes, I'd label us in a similar manner. Not just friends, but a friend that I count on, rely on, a person I need in my life. The godparent to your child.
Oh my God.
I love it. I love seeing their friendship. How much it has truly grown since they first met in Addicted to You. Oh my God. Garrison, again, like, apologizes for, in his way, for what he did to the Core Six. Like, you guys should hate me. Me and my friends tormented you, and they're in prison, their court date, like, just passed, and they were sentenced to a year in prison. And Garrison didn't, but he still feels that lingering guilt.
Mm-hmm.
And Lowe offers to get the glass out of his foot for him at the very end, and tells him he's not shit. And Garrison says, you're not shit. You want this glass out of your foot? Yeah, I want it out. But Connor's notes, broken souls are mended every day by mended souls that were once broken. Which is so poignant of Connor.
Too much.
But it's like, I don't know which way to look. Like, that's so deep Connor, but also I'm looking at Lowe and Garrison and their relationship.
I know.
We talked about this in the Addicted After All podcast, that, like, there is a lot of similarities between them. I'm certain Lowe sees a lot of himself in Garrison, and to just reach out and be like, I'm gonna take this glass out of your foot, I'm gonna take care of you, like, we're gonna help you, you're not alone.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I mean, Lowe wasn't like a trickster or like a prankster or doing things to people, but he was miserable and mean.
Yes.
He was so mean.
Yes.
So he's grown so much.
so much. Oh God, I love it. So that's how that chapter ends. And then it's a little later, Poppy and Sam have shown up. And the irony in the whole thing of like Poppy's telling them what's been going on in Philly since they've been gone, and she's like, it's really chaotic. Lily's over here trying to be like, it's not that chaotic. Like, we were kind of surrounded by paparazzi before because of me. Like, a couple of extra paparazzi don't make Rose feel worse. And Poppy is going on of like, what's happening is awful, and I don't mean to turn around and victimize myself. Like, Poppy. But I've been trying to tell Mom and Dad and even Sam to stay out of your business. This is between you and your husband, and none of us have a place to tell you what to do. If I was in your position with Sam, but like, what were you doing when it first came out? Like, why were you not on your sister's side? I don't get it.
Like, where have you been?
Yeah, I know. I mean, we're getting the loyalty, but I feel very Rose-esque, and like, I demand your loyalty from the very beginning. You betrayed me at first, and I'm going to hold that grudge.
And Poppy is very much like, I get that, you know, she's been married to Sam for so long, but you need to have your sister's back and not Fizzle's PR in the back of your head, in the back of your mind.
No, it just back and forth. So it's Poppy, Rose, and Lily are currently at the back of the house, and Daisy is out on the deck with Reich, and they're like keeping an eye on her while they're having this conversation, and she screams, and they're like, what is happening? Reich's not touching her. He's just like letting her get out these emotions, but they don't know why. What is she screaming
like
about? What are they talking about? Yeah. And part of Poppy's like, well, I had mentioned this breakup to Reich, like that I took this break with Sam and it was really good for me. Maybe he broke up with her. And I love Lily, or Rose is like, no, he definitely did not break up with her. Lily looks like she might cry.
Mm-hmm.
But, oh yeah, there it is. Rose is like, not 100%, but I can't see him doing it, not here. And Lily's like, I can't see him doing it at all. He loves her. Like,
he loves her.
Yes. Lily knows.
Yep.
Rose is almost there, but Poppy is definitely not there.
Poppy's out of touch with the situation.
Yeah. So they all decide that they eventually go out to the deck to see what's going on with Daisy. And before that, Rose brings up like, Reich has told me about your conversation about this break, and Poppy does admit like, yeah, I even brought it up to our mom, and Samantha was
Mother
like,
and father.
Yeah, but Samantha was not in favor of it. She was like, no, I don't,
totally against it.
Which is very surprising for us all to see that, like, at least Samantha can recognize that Daisy was more worldly and did not have the same experiences as Poppy, and like, she can make this decision to, like, she and Reich don't need to break up. That's not the direction their relationship needs to take. But so eventually they go down to the deck to check on Daisy. Reich won't tell them what's going on. He's like, you just need to talk with her. She'll tell you what's happening. It's not his news to share.
Mm-hmm.
But he says she needs her sisters. And so they get down there. Daisy's crying. And she basically tells them that she's always had irregular periods. And part of it was they thought that, I mean, she was a model. So sometimes her eating wasn't healthy, and it fucked with her cycle. But they thought that, like, maybe once she quit modeling and she was starting to eat and put on weight, that it would get more regular, and it didn't.
Right.
And they also started getting really painful. So also thanks to seeing Frederick, she now sees Frederick as her therapist. She's kind of talked with him a little bit about what she's been feeling, and he's kind of urged her, like, you need to go speak to a doctor about what it is that's going on. And they found out that she just got a call that morning while they're at the lake house that she's got cysts on her ovaries, and this one cyst could rupture and they'd need to take it out, but there's no guarantee that, like, her ovary could be saved. Like, they could...
Right.
It could improve, or it could not. Like, there is
Right.
no guarantee. And essentially what it comes down to is it's more likely that I will never have babies than it's likely that I will. And this is a girl who wanted to grow her family so badly, and to be told this
So
news
badly.
hurts. And she talks about like how hard it's been to be at the lake house, talking about like, this house is huge, we're gonna grow. The whole point was that we were gonna grow our families into this house, and I'm not gonna have that opportunity anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And Rose, with zero hesitation, is like, look at me, Daisy. You will have babies. You can save your eggs. And if anything happens, I'll carry your child. As many as you want. They'll have your features. You'll hold them in your arms and you'll watch them grow big and strong, Rose.
I have chills.
And she talks about it, explaining why she feels like she's the sister that needs to do it. Because Lily obviously has her addiction, and pregnancy was really hard for her. And then Poppy also had really bad morning sickness with Maria, and hasn't really wanted to go through that again. So like, that leaves Rose, but Rose is all over here like, even if it wasn't only on me to do it, I would have done it. Like,
Right.
you can tell that she decided this without, I mean, like, she's doing this out of the goodness of her heart, not just because she's Daisy's only option. She
says, my uterus is all yours. Whenever you want one, I'm ready. I've always been good at sharing with my sisters. This is no different to me.
And Lily and Poppy join our hug, expressing the same sentiment, and very shortly we're all piled together, tear-streaked, mascara running, the paths of our lives veering just a little to follow our sister and never leave her alone.
You know, I often think about if this was a TV series and just imagining this scene, like in particular, Daisy screaming this like battle cry and us watching it from the view of like Rose and Lily and Poppy and seeing her and Reich on the dock and just the pain. Like, I really would love to see it in person.
Yeah.
I want to see it filmed.
I love it. Like, her talking about their paths veering, like, after just talking about how they're like trying so hard to make like, Daisy has been left behind for so long in their sisterhood, and they took that first step with like, or not first step, but like another step with like, we're gonna have this sleepover slumber party thing, like just constantly trying to do things to include their sister, and they're big moments, but they feel kind of little in comparison to this of like,
Right.
I'm going to carry your child for you. Like, this is huge. Right. And to alter her course to do this for her sister is just, it's everything. And they're so ready and willing to do it. They're not going to leave her behind anymore. Daisy's like fully encompassed in their sisterhood. It's what she deserved. So the next chapter is just them lingering out on the dock. And it's, I think the big part is like Poppy bringing up the idea of this break to Daisy, because no one's brought up this idea to Daisy. It's just been talked around her, like maybe she needs this break from Reich, and he needed to initiate it. But Poppy brings up like, have you ever thought about taking a break like Sam and I did? And she goes, absolutely not. I was miserable being without him. If I were to break up with him, like, it would feel like I'm taking a step back into my past where I was so unhappy, and I am happiest with him. Yeah, she then Rose walks up to the house and tells Connor, I'm going to have her baby for her. Because Reich has explained to the guys what was going on, and Connor tells her, you're a strong woman. I've been dealt a fuller set of cards than the ones passed to Lily and Daisy. They're just as strong, if not stronger. I've always been here as extra reinforcement, and however old we become, however great we are, that won't ever change. I love that.
Rose is the type of person, because like surrogacy, I can't imagine carrying a child, even if it's not my own child, and handing it off, you know? So you have to be a special type of person to be able to separate that. Yeah. Even if it is your family member's child. Like, it takes a special type of person to be a surrogate. And out of any of them, only Rose could do that.
Yeah. I also think about like having this child, handing it off at the end, because like it's with you like for 9 months. There's also this sense of like with Reich and Daisy in particular, and we'll see it more of, she doesn't necessarily have the healthiest eggs. Like they'll try and get what they can for her,
Right.
and make these embryos that Rose can then carry to term. But there's also this sense of like, I need to be careful and like protect this child. This child is like, it's going to be a miracle to bring this baby into the world, because it's going to
Right.
take a lot of work, and just to carry that responsibility too, and that sense of like protectiveness of like, I'm gonna take care of this kid, but it's going to be my
Yeah.
sister's
There's
kid,
not an
and
endless
going to
supply
be
of
very
embryos.
right. Yes,
Yeah.
that's the word. That's where I was basically going with that. But like, I need to protect this kid. It's very important for my sister. Rose is also the kind of person that I feel could carry that responsibility.
Right.
But yeah, so then we get the next chapter. Rose and Connor she mentions it that at the end of all of their vacations, they try and take a larger step in Rose's sexual experiences. Like Connor tries to expand her comfort zone a little bit. So at the end of the Alps trip, she lost her virginity. We talked about it in the Kiss the Sky podcast that at the end of the Bora Bora trip, they had sex in a cabana, which was a little more exposed for Rose. So in this instance, they're going to try anal for the first time, just to see. I mean, she's talked about this, like maybe she's the Goldilocks of anal. Lily loves it. Daisy hates it.
Right.
Maybe it's
Right.
gonna be just right for Rose. He wants to keep her still, and I love that he like puts these delicate diamond bracelet or anklets on her ankles just to keep her still. She breaks them, but I love that it's like, take care of the diamonds, Rose. She's like, yes, I will. Diamonds are very important. Yeah, I'd hate to shatter jewelry, especially a piece that's my style, my taste, perfectly me.
Absolutely.
But she does wind up enjoying it, which she's like, you're going to say I told you so, and that my limitations are all in my head. He respects her limitations. He can tell. He's always been able to read her and her wants.
Right.
He respects them, but he can like help push her when her mind puts up some boundaries.
He can push her boundaries, but he also knows when to respect her limits.
Yes.
But he can tell when she could take a little more, when she could try something different, and he would never go beyond that.
No.
If she was uncomfortable.
Absolutely not. So then the next chapter, they're sitting in bed in the morning. They're in bed. Jane's looking at like a picture book, and they're talking about like what Connor's going to say to the media when his sexuality became this news headline. They were like, you're going to hold a press conference and address everything. You're going to give yourself a label, because that's what everyone needs from you, and just try and put these rumors to bed, like Rose, you're in love with Rose, all of this stuff. But they have not had this news. They're gonna do this press conference after the vacation.
Right.
So Connor's talking about like what he's going to say at this press conference. Rose says she's going to talk after him. Whatever he chooses, she will support him no matter what. And he's like, I'm not going to surprise you. Like, I'll tell you. And he says that he's going to use the word queer.
Right.
It's an all-encompassing broad term that has positive connotations. I like how other people proudly identify as queer, and I think it's a safe middle ground for me. And Rose can note that, like, he doesn't identify. Other people identify as queer, but that's not what Connor identifies as.
Right.
He doesn't have a word for what his identity is, and she feels like him picking this safe middle ground is... She says, like, what scale are you weighing these costs and benefits to you? And she feels like it's costing him his soul. That, like, yeah, on what
The
scale do
cost of
you
your
weigh?
soul outweighs everything else.
Yeah. And Connor's like, well, how selfish can I really be? But she really wants him to listen to his heart, which is something that he's learned how to do, is still learning how to do. And he says all he really wants is just like to, where is it? If I listened to my heart, it would only say to protect my girls, nothing more.
I love that.
I love it.
My girls.
It's so funny to think that, like, in this moment, Connor is outnumbered girls to boys, and then thinking about their family. Oh my God.
Yeah. Right now, Connor's just a girl dad.
So then they're cleaning out the house. They're getting ready to leave. Connor talks with Lo of like, do you remember your wedding day? I think about it. I was thinking about it. I was like, why are you thinking about my wedding day? Yes, I remember my wedding day. Why are you asking me about it? But he says that he still believes that Lily and Lo are the strongest people he's ever had the honor to meet. He can't imagine going, like, fighting the demons and the battles that they have to go through every single day. I think this whole experience just gives him a whole new perspective on what Lily and Lo have to go through on a daily basis, and it gives him a lot more respect for them, and a new perspective on what they go through. And then Lo has to go take care of Mafi. Reich comes in and he hands Connor a book with a sticky note that's like, Merry fucking Christmas. And it is a play. No, it's not. Yeah, 4-act drama. I assume it's a play. I've always assumed it was a play. But it's Man and Superman by George Bernard Shaw. And Reich tells him to go to page 260, which is not marked. He like has this memorized, so we can really see how well read Reich is. And Connor can see, like, okay, he's got this whole thing memorized. But what Reich has directed Connor to is a passage that says, "The reasonable man adapts himself to the world. The unreasonable one persists in trying to adapt the world to himself. Therefore, all progress depends on the unreasonable man." Just, it hits Connor. And you sit and think about that. It's like, God, deep. You're right.
Absolutely.
Where is progress going to come from? Like, when everyone just falls in line and moves together. No, you gotta make waves. And
to be unreasonable for the first time in my life. Can I even do that?
Yes, because one of the things is, like, Connor is so extraordinary, but he tries to assimilate himself just so that he can get by. Otherwise, he would just be banging his head on the wall trying to get people to keep up with him.
Right.
He's decided it's not necessarily worth his effort to constantly try and get people up on his level. He'll just try and get down to their level instead.
Right.
Which is why being with Rose is so perfect for him, because she is at his level. So it's like, there is that mental stimulation there for him. But yeah, and in this instance, stop trying to assimilate and just be unreasonable, and take your own path, forge your own way.
Yeah, and like, let them bend for me.
Yes.
I'm not going to bend anymore.
No. So then they're finally at this press conference, and Connor, it's like right before, Connor says, the only apology that I'll make is to you and Jane. And she's like, you don't need to apologize to me. It's unnecessary. And I like it. There's one point where, like, he's about to step out and speak to all of these reporters, and one of the publicists is like, you don't even have a script, note cards. Connor Cobalt, I don't need a script.
Do you know who I am?
My IQ doubles. Yeah, he goes, do you know who I am? I'm Richard Connor Cobalt. My IQ doubles yours. The man whose IQ doubles yours, I would suggest scripts for yourself, maybe line by line and in large font, but I won't need one. I tell you to remember this, but I'm very hard to forget.
Extremely hard to forget. What a dick. I love him.
Like, you're right. He's so right.
Mm-hmm.
So he tells a story. Connor finally gets up to the podium. He tells this story of when he was 17 in Model UN. He and Rose got stuck in a janitor's closet, another competitor to in Model UN locked them in this janitor's storage closet to sabotage them.
Right. So he could win.
Yeah, and Rose said being locked in a confined space with me was the worst 2 hours of her life. You're confused because you don't know whether she was exaggerating or whether she was being truthful, but the truth is that we are complex people with the ability to love, to hate, and to hate to love, and I wouldn't trade her for any other person. So that day, stuck beside mops and dirty towels, I could have picked the lock 5 minutes in and let her go. Instead, I purposely spent 2 hours with a girl who wore passion like a dress made of diamonds and hair made of flames. Every day of my life, I am enamored. Every day of my life, I am bewitched. And every day of my life, I spend it with her.
It's too much. It's too much.
Man, that you are. Rose is the only person I've ever loved, and through that love, we married and started a family. There's no other meaning behind this, and for you to conjure one is nothing less than a malicious attack against my marriage and my child. Yes, you tell them, Connor. Fuck all of these reporters. God. And he goes, anything else has no relevance. I can't be what you need me to be. So you'll have to accept this version or waste your time questioning something that has no answer. I know acceptance isn't easy when you're unsure of what you're accepting, but all I can say is that you're accepting me as me, Connor.
Mic drop.
Yes. And you'll notice, like, that passage truly meant a lot to him. He has decided that he will not label himself. He has no label, and everyone just has to accept that. And he feels so happy with and content with this speech. And Rose is so proud of him. And he ends it with a quote of, I took a deep breath and listened to the old brag of my heart. I am.
That's all.
Adapt to
And
me.
he only needs to answer to himself, no one else.
Yes. No, never. Yeah, so good. And so following this press conference, it's 3 a.m. Rose has driven up to Manhattan.
Knock, knock, knock.
On Frederick's door. She's like, give me my fucking cat back. I want her back. And Frederick does, like, give Sadie back to Rose. But he also reflects on how much Connor has grown. When I first met him when he was 12, I thought he was brilliant. He spoke like he'd been living for decades, not 12 years. It took him some time to open up to me, but when he did, I realized he lacked so much empathy for the human race. He thought of people as stepping stones to greater achievements and nothing more. You see, a narcissist is incapable of love, and I never believed he would love a single soul until he met you. But also, like...
You know, Connor's mom really fucked him up. She really did.
But also, I have to wonder, like, when Frederick says, like, I never believed he would love a single soul until he met you. So are we saying that at 15, Connor came in and talked about this girl that he met, and Frederick was like, yeah, he's going to fall in love with her?
Game changer.
Did he know from that very beginning? Oh my God. And he tells her that, like, you didn't just fascinate him, Rose. You made him feel for so much more, or you made him feel for more than just himself. He cared about you, and you had no larger purpose in his life other than existing.
Just exist.
So good.
I had never thought that 12-year-old boy would become this man. It's quite extraordinary.
He's very extraordinary.
I would love to see a fan cast for Frederick.
Yeah. I can't picture him.
I'd love to have a book for Frederick, or like a novella or something.
He'd be an interesting character. I would love to see... I always think it's interesting to see these characters from other perspectives. So I would kind of love Frederick's book just to see how he sees Connor.
Mm-hmm.
But Rose also thanks Frederick for everything he's done for Daisy too, and like pushing her to see a doctor. I get this. I never actually said what it is that Daisy has too. She has endometriosis. That is what the doctor has diagnosed her with. And Rose is very grateful that Frederick has been in this. He has advocated for Daisy so well. It's been very helpful for her mental health. The next chapter, Connor is with Scott, and we hate Scott. He's talking about Rose again. Does Rose give better blowjobs after 2+ years, or does she still suck? Like, fuck you. You're the worst scumbag on the planet. We're gonna see very soon.
Yeah. And Rose is in Connor's conscience once again.
But there's something that he says, too, because he asks about the blowjobs, and he goes, Daisy could probably teach her a few tricks. And it's like, what do you know about Daisy? And, like, part of it is, like, Scott has mentioned this friend that he has, Trent, who has slept with Daisy, but it's also just, like, how much does Scott really know? What exactly does Scott
Why
really
do you know that, Scott?
But yeah, so throughout this whole conversation, Connor feels so much stronger while he's talking with Scott and saying these things, these derogatory things about Rose, unkind things about her, because he has her in his head. That was something that he did not do in that last conversation. He like tried to. He felt so guilty. He just like tried to keep Rose out of his head, but actually he needs her in there talking with him, and it makes him feeling her there makes him feel better. Like he can truly handle this. But it basically comes out that like Scott really wants a more prestigious and like he's looked at as the porn guy because he sells Rose and Connor sex tapes, and he doesn't want that reputation. He wants something more prestigious for himself. So Connor manages to he's like, I've talked with GBA about like maybe a second season, but like they don't seem to respect you. They call you the porn guy. And Scott finally agrees. What if I sell these sex tapes to you? I get rid of them and they're off my hands. I don't have, and maybe they'll respect me more and we'll get that second season. GBA will give me a higher paying job, all of this stuff. And Connor's like, deal. I want my and Rose's sex tapes. So he sells them back. So Scott does sell them back. And the next chapter is Rose and Connor burning them.
For $50,000. He sells them for $50,000.
That's nuts. He sold their first one for like $25 million. And they have like, yeah, God.
He's like scraping the bottom of the barrel. But whatever, they're gone.
We can see how desperate he is to get rid of them. That he would take $50,000. But yeah, so they get back these sex tapes. They burn them. It's very cathartic, very therapeutic for them. Rose is so happy. She says, Scott Van Wright, douchebag motherfucker 0, Rose and Connor Cobalt, brilliant 1. And I just love the end of the chapter because they start quoting books back to each other, Alice in Wonderland, and then Shakespeare, Henry VIII. But then he says, so long as I may be living, I live with you. And we never got to see it because Kiss the Sky ended before their actual wedding ceremony. And then in Thrive, we never saw the ceremony either. But this is their wedding vows to Connor's wedding vow to her. And she says, in spirit and in mind, I live with you. Forever is not nearly long enough. I wholeheartedly, undoubtedly agree. I love them.
And she says, the strength of our vows beats inside my veins. I love it.
I love it too. But yeah, so that was that chapter. So I think it's so funny because I get to that chapter where Connor does this press conference. And in my head, I'm like, that's the conclusion. He's like, addressed the media. That was the whole big climax. Everything should be done. Yeah. I'm sitting here like, holy shit, there's still so much that has to happen.
Wait, there's more.
So much more. My God.
We're not done. We still have 10%.
We're almost there. But so Connor, Lowe, and Reich are at the gym, and it's basically brings up this idea. Lowe brings up that he's talking with his dad again. It's been a couple of months since they found out what Jonathan did. And at first, Reich and Lowe were so angry with Jonathan. They didn't want anything to do with him. He really did. He betrayed more than just Connor and Rose in that instance. He betrayed his sons. And Reich is definitely still in this questionable state of like, I don't know if I can forgive him for what he did. But Lowe, I mean, he knows his dad a lot better than Reich. And he has decided like he is a deeply damaged man, and fully cutting himself out of his dad's life is not necessarily what his dad needs. So he's just going to talk with him again.
Right.
But it doesn't necessarily mean that he's like forgiven Jonathan for what he's done.
Right.
But he admits this to Connor, and Connor's like, you can do this.
I saw this quote. I actually forgot to bring it up with my therapist, but this quote will resonate with Lo and Jonathan. The axe forgets, the tree remembers.
Yeah, that's a good one.
So, yeah, isn't it? Like, you will always, no matter if you forgive or whatever, you will never forget what happened.
Right.
But the person that wronged you will typically make it like it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I like that. But yeah, so Connor is like, whatever your relationship with your dad is, it does not affect our friendship. Like, you can do what you want. I support whatever decision you make with your dad.
Mm-hmm.
But they have their flirty banter that Lo and Connor do. He says, "Get back on my feet, love. This isn't quite my favorite position, but I'll make an exception for you, darling." And there's this fucking gym bro that doesn't like hearing the way Connor and Lo speak with each other. And he says homo. And they're like, "Excuse me, what did you just say?" And he like shuts up about it for a second. But then like a couple seconds later, he walks over with a dumbbell and just drops it on Lo's hand and breaks his hand. And when confronted, it's no one here wants to see that. And so they're faced with this bigoted douche bro gym guy. But the good news is there are a lot of other people in the gym that are like, we don't fucking care. We don't want you here.
Right.
Get out
Just
of
let
here,
them
bro.
be.
Yeah. Yeah, someone's like, speak for yourself. This doesn't come from Reich or me or Lauren. It's a random guy on a weight bench. And someone else boos from over by the treadmill. And like, we see both sides of how Connor's now perceived that there will be bigots out there that don't understand that he can sleep with both men and women, but there will be plenty of people out there that will support and defend him and others like him. So they see how badly injured Lo is. They take him home. He doesn't want to go to the hospital just yet.
Right.
He goes, "It'll be on the news the minute we park near the ER, and I'd rather go home, ice my hand for an hour, and tell Lily. That way she'll find out for me." It's like, all right, fine. They go home, and the girls have been about to have like a movie marathon because Willow was going to go to prom with Declan. I think it was with Declan. Yeah. And there's just so much that happens in this. So basically, Declan stood up Willow. He's not actually going to take her to prom anymore. And the girls feel bad for her. So they're going to have like a movie night to take her mind off the fact that she got stood up for prom. Meanwhile, the guys are back and they see what happened to Lo. And Lily's now concerned, like, oh my God, you need to go to the hospital. I don't know if it's here, but they like talk about how I'm like 15 minutes from taking him to the hospital. I'm 10 minutes away. And Lily's like 1 minute away from getting him into the garage and getting him out. But while all of this is happening, Connor's also getting texts from Scott being like, some of my friends are coming over and we're going to watch some stuff. And like, why don't you come over? And Connor's like, this is it. Like, I need to go over there and see what's going on. And Rose is like, I support you in this. Go do this. You have to do this. Go do this.
She knows something's about to happen.
Yeah. And there's so much to this chapter. Connor steps outside, and before he can get over to Scott, who's at the door? It's Garrison Abbey. Sweet Garrison. He is.
This is, do you know the Vine? He's like, I want to take you to prom. And Lo's like, yes. I love it. I love Garrison. I really love Garrison.
Yes. He heard that Declan stood up Willow and he's like, I'm going to take her to prom instead. But he's like, he runs into Connor and he's like, do you think this is a good idea? Here's my answer for you. Ask your friend to prom for no selfish reasons, no vain motives, nothing less than because you admire her and because you'd rather spend 2 minutes sitting beside her at a dance than 5 hours in the company of anyone else.
It's as easy as that.
It is. And Garrison's like, yeah, you're right. I do want to just spend 2 minutes with her.
Yeah.
And Connor goes across the street. Garrison's like, where are you going? He says, I'm going to set things straight. Good luck. I appreciate
the sentiment, but I don't need luck.
Connor's now over at Scott's place, and he's sitting next to this guy, Trent, the one that we know has slept with Daisy in the past.
He's 30. He was a lot older than Daisy. I forgot.
I mean, she was with Julian, and Julian was,
yeah.
all of these men have fully taken.
Yeah, she likes older guys.
But one of the guys, there's another guy that's like at the house and he's in the bathroom right now. He snorted too much coke on the plane. Oh my God, these men, horrible men. Scott like has his computer out and he's telling Connor, pick a video. And Connor's like, he has his suspicions of what is on these videos. There was something that he brings up. He was very specific. He only wanted Rose and Connor's sex tapes. He didn't want anything else of what Scott has, but Scott clearly has something else. Right. And so he tells Connor, pick a video between 1 and 7. And where did they say it? And Scott says she's naked in 4 through 7. So we've narrowed it down even more. And so Scott picks a video, pulls it up, and it is a sex tape of Daisy from the Princesses of Philly era. Because he is a vile human being. And even though, like, they talked about this in Kiss the Sky, you cannot have, like, they had recorded Daisy having sex with her boyfriend. She was a minor at the time, and any minor filmed in a pornographic, like, it's illegal in the state of Pennsylvania at the very least. But very illegal. And Scott swore he got rid of all of that footage, and he was a fucking bastard, and never sold it, but kept it for himself, and has allowed his friends to watch it too, because they're pigs. Right. So as soon as Daisy is up on the screen, Connor tries to get out of the house and pretends that
Rose calls, Jane fell out of her high chair. He has to go. She hurt her arm.
Yeah. And so the guys continue to watch. Connor books it back over to the house, and he's like, you, Daisy, you, Rose, come with me. And it's hard for, like, I can imagine how hard it must be to tell Daisy that she's been violated again. Like, she has been healing from all of this trauma that she's experienced when she was a child and into her young adult years, and has finally started healing from that trauma. She's still going through a ton of shit anyway, now with her fertility issues. Like, and now, by the way, Daisy, they have sex tapes of you that, like, shouldn't exist.
So much
you've been
has been exploited in her life.
Yes, it's so awful. But Connor tells her what Scott has done and urges her, you need to call the police and report this. It's a crime for him to have this. Daisy, she's like, why do you need my consent? It's illegal. Daisy, he has footage of you, which will be the basis of the case against him. You may have to go to court and testify. He hurt you. He hurt me. Who else is he going to hurt? Fucking no one. We're going to stop it right here. This is how they're going to cut him. This was Connor's big plan from the beginning. He didn't necessarily know that that's what Scott had, but by being friends with him, Scott had loose lips and let it slip about knowing more about Daisy, and this was how Connor is able to get him out of their lives. So Daisy calls the police, and then Rose gets to witness him being arrested, getting escorted into a police.
Sweet, sweet revenge.
Sweet revenge. And she like really wants to be sassy. She wants to be like, how do those handcuffs feel? Or have fun in hell, and she has nothing to say to him. And Scott looks over at her and tries to be like, you fucking bitch. And Connor is like, no, the next time you ever say anything derogatory about my wife or any other woman, it'll be in jail. He asks if they know what an Aesculapian snake is. It's a rat snake, rat snakes are like ordinary snakes, except when held captive. When you trap a rat snake, it will attempt to swallow its own body and eventually self-cannibalize. You are the rat snake, and you've been slowly eating yourself to death ever since you moved across the street. Mic drop.
Yep.
And, oh God, this bit. Scott's face, a twisted ball of shock, rage, and terror, is priceless. He looks like he may puke, and he braces more of his body weight against the police car. He stares far away, as though adding up all the months Connor deceived him, the shots Connor took at me, at the only person he's ever loved, to accomplish what Connor did and still have a soul. It takes rare strength and power that no human being could ever match, not to this uncharted degree. You're a psychopath. No, I just really fucking hate you. Yeah, we all fucking
Connor kisses my hand. We've won.
I love it.
Thank God. Finally.
Yeah. Sweet revenge. Sweet.
Honestly, I remember reading this for the first time, and I was in shock that they would write about a Daisy sex tape.
I
I
know.
did not see that coming.
Because you're so worried about her. Like, we've already gone through, like, you were worried about her in Kiss the Sky, and then you see everything that she went through in Hot House Flower, and you're like, oh, thank God that on
Yeah.
top of everything else, she didn't have this to worry about. And no, actually, it was out there. We just,
Like, a lot gets piled on to Daisy, but a lot gets piled onto all of them.
yeah, yeah. But I mean, we're about to head into Daisy's book next, so it kind of makes sense that we do see quite a bit at the end getting piled on for her to kind of have to
Yeah.
unpack in the next book. But yeah, it's just a lot for her. Sweet Daisy. But they have won. Scott's out of their life. It's very satisfying to witness. We all were so upset that he got fucking money and was able to get out of the loophole of this Princesses of Philly contract. It's also, I don't know if it's mentioned later on. I think it's later. We can talk about like how it eventually comes out that Scott was the executive producer of Princesses of Philly. Because they really tried to hide that during the actual airing of the show and just made it look like Scott was Rose's ex-boyfriend, when in actuality he had a big hand in how the Corsix was edited and all of that stuff.
Right, and all of the production and everything.
And I think there's also a bit where, like, can't remember if because of this GBA's contract with them is kind of null and void because, I mean, there was like illegal video. I can't remember if that's a thing or not.
Right, illegal dealings.
Yeah, I can't remember if that was mentioned at some point, but I have it in my head that it did. Anyway, Scott's gone. Now we have this other thing that Rose has been fighting for throughout the book, which was the Callaway Couture Baby clothing line. She finally sees it it's in a department store. They're having like a small party to like celebrate the launch of this line. And she's like over by herself because she really had to fight for this against the old school, old boys club of the Halecoat board. So she's just going to enjoy her win by herself. And Lo comes over to celebrate. He goes, ew, the smile is back because she's smiling about seeing the clothing line.
She got what she wanted in that logo.
Yeah. She says, I did get what I wanted. This is my victory lap. Maybe in time I won't have to pretend to despise all the things I like in order to be heard. Lo says, I want that for you too, you know?
Yeah.
But he tells her to pull out her phone because he wants her to check Twitter. He asks her if she's seen what everyone's been saying about her recently. And she was like, I logged off after Connor's press conference because I felt like what he said was absolutely beautiful. And I didn't want to see anyone try and twist his words or make it into something that I feel it wasn't. But Lily tweeted out #RCC this is love. And RCC, it's Rose Callaway Cobalt, Richard Connor Cobalt, both of their initials.
Mm-hmm.
But Lily has been on this social media campaign to make everyone see their love, which was something that she said when it first came out. She was like, everyone was saying it doesn't look like Rose and Connor are in love. They're so sassy with each other. Like, they're so sarcastic.
Right.
Are they really in love? And Lily was like, I saw it from the very beginning. And she's proving it on social media and making everyone else see what she sees when she looks at Rose and Connor. So there's like a picture of them from their Mexico trip. Lo says that she's been doing this for weeks and it's a trending hashtag now. And other people are like, RCC, this is love when intelligence is sexier than abs. RCC, this is love when you play chess with me and we refuse to let each other win. RCC, this is love when you look at me like you love me no matter what mood I'm in. RCC, this is love when we share secrets behind a newspaper. RCC, this is love when I'd rip my hair out to protect my daughter and you'd shame the media for shaming us. Just like witnessing all of these people finally on their side and regular people being able to see the relationship that is Rose and Connor and that it is true love. It's different than what Lily and Lo present, how Lily and Lo present their love, how Reich and Daisy present their love, but it is still the same deep true love.
It's a different kind of true love.
Yeah. But she's very touched that Lily would do this for her.
Mm-hmm.
She's crazy. She's crazy and I love her. I'll tell you, I'll tell her you said so. I'll tell her. I tell my sister that I love her 1,000 times over before she made my love known to the world. And definitely after.
I love sisters.
Sisters are so sweet. I wish I had one.
I know.
So now the next chapter is Jane's first birthday. They're celebrating at the Callaways at their house. It's sort of like an olive branch that Rose and Connor are extending to Greg and Samantha because of how they treated him with these headlines. But fine, we'll let you throw a birthday party for our daughter. Like, Rose does confront her mother. Like, Samantha's like, I didn't think you'd let me do this. And she's like, can you blame me? You questioned my love for my husband when I needed your support. And Connor does come out of the office with Greg, and Greg apologized to Connor. It does suck, though. I kind of loved that Connor was like the ultimate son-in-law, and he has like dropped down a peg in Greg's eyes. And I think even though he has apologized, I don't necessarily know that he's like fully back on top. I don't know. I just feel like
definitely not. No, Greg. I feel like it's tainted, unfortunately.
Yeah. So this is, I think, where they talk about maybe not, but they talk a little bit about Scott. Scott's not granted bond. He's going to stay in jail, and they contemplate that a judge might actually give him a harsher sentence as like a way to teach others a lesson too. Scott is looking at 5 to 10 years in prison. Rose is like, we're not going to taint my daughter's birthday with this man's name. Stop talking about him. Let's celebrate. So they sit down at the table, and Connor says something to her. He says, "You're glowing," and she's like, "I'm not pregnant." But it like brings up this idea of like, there is that dream that's still out there that they wanted. They wanted a bigger family, and it hasn't happened.
Yeah. And
Rose reflects on like, if I have another baby, it's going to be Daisy's baby. That's what's going through her head right now. But everyone sits down at the table, and Lo gives a toast. He's like, I know it's Janie's birthday, but I have something to say. I may always say that Rose is as cold as ice, and Lily may always say that Connor must be a planetary alien, but you both have astronomical sized hearts. You know that. You both never judged me for being an addict, and even when tons of people judged you and questioned you, you forgave them. This table is full because of your compassion, and I want you to know that I see it. And everyone sure as hell better see it too. Yeah, that's right. Everyone better fucking see it.
As Lo says with his jawbone that can cut like ice.
Absolutely. He turns to Jonathan's at this birthday brunch too. He turns to the Callaways and Jonathan and Sam and Poppy because, y'all were the ones that were questioning this. And everyone stands up and they do toast to Rose and Connor. Except Reich and Daisy. They're a little more hesitant because it's like, I'm not standing up if in 3 months this side of the table makes our lives hell because you believed a fucking tabloid rumor over us.
Right.
Greg does apologize to like all of the guys because he has absolutely questioned their motives. I think except Lo. Lo is the one that he has never really questioned just because they've been the Callaways are so detached from Lily. But Sam and Reich and now Connor too have all kind of felt this, not animosity, but like distrust with Greg, and he apologizes for that. And they all and it's very meaningful for Daisy to hear that like Greg does trust Reich with Daisy, that her parents do approve of the two of them together, because that's been something that's been hard on the family. And Reich's even mentioned it too, that like it feels like her family hates us together. That's why I haven't proposed. But the family doesn't hate you guys together, so maybe you can propose, right?
Yeah.
Just something to think about. So
I have something bookmarked.
Yeah.
All of our children will be raised without hatred. Bad blood will be washed away and feuds finally put aside. They'll have the sharpest, sturdiest tools to fight enemies that will not be in their own homes, but miles and miles away. Our children will have the best chance at life because we're standing together, because we all have the capacity to love, no matter what form or shape it may come in, because in the end, we each remain unbroken so their lives can begin. It's so good.
So good. I love them.
To Rose and Connor.
Rose and Connor. Oh, Jane's birthday's June 10th. And then right after It's June 22nd, I believe, which is Rose and Connor's anniversary. So they have decided to go to France to celebrate their anniversary.
Yes.
And they're strolling through Claude Monet's garden. Jane has tripped. She was running around, tripped, hurt herself. Connor picks her up, and they're just kind of acknowledging, like, they are wandering around. There are cameras in their background taking pictures of them. Like, it's that's what their background will always look like to them.
Right.
And Rose says, "Stop staring at me like that. It frightens you. What I'm going to say. What are you going to say? When I look deeply into your eyes, I see more than just 3 years of our marriage. I see 10, 30, 50, 60 years with you. And I see us returning to this place. I see us old and at the end of our lifelines, staring out at this water on this bridge, as consumed by love as we're tragically consumed now. I see our children. Many more, Rose." That is cause for celebration.
Should be tears. I see our children. Many more children, Rose.
And she's like, "But we had rules. Like, we can't break them."
Yeah.
And he says, "We can break our rules for our children. We've been under the notion that having more children would be selfish, but look around us, Rose. Look at her and tell me what part of this world is so unbearable that we shouldn't give another child life. It's selfish for us to live by a rule that affects another life." And she's like,
It's a dream taking.
and Rose is like, "How has the media really changed, though? Like, their whole test was, and Connor says, the real test wasn't our game that we constructed with the media. The real test was afterwards, how we handled the blowback with our daughter in our arms. And in my eyes, we've succeeded. Our love trumps any cost the media can inflict. Maybe this whole time, Rose, it's unconsciously been safe, and it's taken our belief that we can provide love to a child that we feel with all our hearts to finally see it ourselves." Just after, yes, decide to have all the babies. All the babies. So Rose is like, "Okay, I'm on board with this. Like, you're right," which I love. Connor's so right that it really, like, yeah. I mean, no, I don't think they would ever be able to truly keep their kids out of the media forever. There would
No.
100% be a time when, like, something that they do, Jane would be brought up. There's just no way to keep her invisible to them. And he's right that, like, the true test is how do you handle, when it happens, how do you handle it? And yeah, through their love, they did succeed. They were able to shut out the horrible rumors and just tell the world who they were.
And he says, whatever missteps our children take or mistakes we may make, their lives will be filled with love and passion. And our children, ours, will suck the marrow out of life and paint this gray fucking world with color. Our children will be unforgettable like us. You will see. Why isn't that a title?
They had to save the for unlucky. Unforgettable.
Yeah.
Like, that's really good, though. But yeah, so Rose is like, "Okay, you're right, I'm on board. But 8 kids? Who would want to procreate with you 8 times?" And yeah, but she says, like, "Okay, I'm on board with this, but we need to plan this a little more. Because I promised Daisy that I would have her baby, and I need to make sure that I can still be there for her." To which Connor agrees, but then it's, "Okay, how many more kids do we want? If we're planning this out, how many kids do you want?" And she says that, like, she's always wanted Jane to have a sister. Her sisters have meant the world to her, and it would mean a lot for Jane to be able to have that sense of sisterhood too. So they've decided that when they have another girl, that will be it. So if they were to have a girl next, that's the end of the Cobalt family. But he agrees, and she goes, "Richard Connor Cobalt, you're leaving this up to fate. Your fate will be kind to me. I can make anyone grow to love me in time." I love it, though. I love that he's like, "Yeah, fine, whatever. I can't mess with this kind of science. It will be a probability and a chance of, it's a game of chance of what we'll get. But I hope they get their big family." And Rose says, "Your fate is my fate. And they don't love you, Connor. They love the person you give them. I love you. I'm proud of you. and I can't imagine being anywhere but by your side.
There are rare people who will fuel the fire inside you, who will awaken a dormant passion, who will challenge you, who will push you and better you. She alone is my rarity. I have chills again. I have goosebumps.
I love it. I love it. Toujours. So
Epilogue.
I know. I was like, oh,
We're
crap.
here.
We are there. It's the epilogue. It's 1 month later. Oh my god. So Lily is looking for something in her closet. And basically, with all of this whole media shitstorm, they've come to the realization that, like, they're not helping the rumors by all living together. The media,
Right.
they've learned that the media has, I don't know if compunction is the word that I'm looking for, but, like, they will be willing to spread incestuous type rumors about these families
Right.
living together. There's no line that they'll draw. And so they think that the Core Six thinks that the best way to kind of handle this is Rose and Connor are going to move out of the house. So Rose is like in the process. Lily's helping her pack and move. They're moving down the street though. So the good news is they won't be very far from each other. They won't be in the house across the street where Scott stayed. Nobody wants to stay in that fucking house anymore.
No.
That's tainted, but they'll be down the street and still close by. But it still hurts to imagine them separating. They've been together a long time. Lily and Rose especially, they lived in the Princeton house together, and then they moved into this gated neighborhood in Philly. So it's a big deal to have them separated. And everyone's feeling the feelings, like, because Lily's looking in her closet for something, like, Rose, you can't leave without this, like, coat in my closet or whatever. And Rose is like, I lived on the street. If I need it, I'll just come back to the house and get it. And she's like, no, but what if you need it? You can take it to remember me by.
Lily.
And yeah, part of Rose is also like, you're also eradicating me from the house by, like, getting all of my stuff out of here. And I want some part of me to be in this house. You'll forget about me otherwise. So the sweet moment is like, all right, fine, you can keep my coat. It's that Lily has one of Rose's coats, and she was trying to give Rose this coat back. And Rose is like, just leave the coat in the house. It's fine. Leave me here. Have something to remember me by. And so they hop in a golf cart to drive down the street. Daisy's going to drive them down to Rose and Connor's. It's the Cobalt Estate. It's very them. There's, like, a fountain, a circle drive, and a fountain.
Right.
I think it's, like, lined with some, like, flowering trees or something like that. Where did they talk about? Yeah, they have tulip trees along their drive, and then they have a fountain.
Yeah.
And there's, it's white siding, gorgeous molding, a stately double door entrance. It's very rose cobalt.
Yes.
And it's just sweet the way they're driving past, and Lily's like, so if I have a question, do I call you? Do I Google it? And Rose is like, you're not replacing me with Google. Contact me. I will have the answer for you. So I call you then, or you can come over. I'll stop by your house too.
Oh my god.
And there's like she's like, what if Lily says at one point, like, what if I'm really sad and, like, I need you to come in and, like, open my curtains for me and tell me to get moving for the day. And Lily's like, I can do that for you. And she goes, Rose does it. Like, there's a way that Rose does it. It's just, no one can duplicate that.
It's not the same.
Yeah. But it's just like, I picturing them all separating, it hurts. Lily says, what if I miss a period? Hypothetically, do I call you? Do I drive down here?
Oh my god.
Rose just has to constantly be like, I'm not down the street. I'm not that far away.
Right.
Please don't eradicate me from your life. Like, come to me. You can still come to me. That's the whole thing of this, is like, just because they are moving into their own house does not mean that, like, the sisterhood and the closeness that they have cultivated is going anywhere.
Right.
Yeah, and what if I'm having a bad day and I need you to walk into my room and you do that thing where you open the curtains really fast and all the lights flood in? Anyone can open your blinds. Not like you do.
They're so funny.
They are. I mean, the guys, like, Lo and Reich are also feeling it too, but there's definitely a part of them that's like, I think Lily talks about, like, putting a Pop-Tart and a toaster, and Lo's like, I can do that for you. Like, it's okay. Again, they're only right down the street. It's not forever. You're gonna see her again. Ro says, I love you both, and I'll always be here if you need me. When, Daisy corrects, when we need you.
Right.
So, Daisy also asks Rose, we're seeing that lead up into her book. She asks Rose, like, are you gonna come to my doctor's appointments with me? They're the way they talk, like, I need you there to kind of explain things for me and like be on my side for this, so I understand what's going on and what my options are for all of this. And then they all leave. Like, Rose is like, yes, I will absolutely be at all of your doctor's appointments. And then they all walk out, and Rose sits down and looks at Sadie, and she goes, that was brutal. They sit on the couch, and she goes, is it quiet to you in here? No, darling. What do you hear? Alarm clocks beeping during school days in multiple rooms. They keep ringing at different intervals. Who wakes them up? Me or you? We take turns. What else? The slam of bathroom doors and the turn of faucets, music from bedrooms, and laughter. Always laughter.
Always laughter.
And I cover his mouth, and he kisses my hand, and when he kisses me, my breath caught in my throat and my wine glass almost slipping from my fingers. His lips against mine, I kiss back. And I hear alarm clocks beeping, laughter in the kitchen, yelling by the pool. I listen to the vigorous pulse of our future roaring with life.
Roaring with life.
Roaring like lions. But, like, just that little glimpse into their future. I know, like, we're going to get so much more detail about their future, but just, like, hearing that.
I know.
Like picturing it.
It's so good.
Their house is going to be full of cobalts. Just you wait. But yeah, so really fast, we can do the bonus scene, which was the day before Connor's birthday.
Is that in the Berkeley edition? I don't have that one.
Ooh. I'm trying to skim through it so that I can talk about it. I forgot to read this bit. So this bonus, it's the day before his 27th birthday, and he walks into the office, but he, and they talk about, like, his plans, like, your flight is booked for Hong Kong for tomorrow because he's trying to get out of there for his birthday. I booked your flights to Hong Kong, Mr. Cobalt. It leaves tomorrow just as you asked. And he goes, tomorrow morning? And he then reflects back of, like, how Rose wants to make it special because when he was 16 and she was 15, they went to this, like, convention for prospective Ivy schools, like Ivy League schools.
Right.
You know, it's like college perspectives, just trying to see which schools they were interested in. He is wandering around networking, and he hears her by her voice first, her being like, I'm not going to a fashion institute, mother. Yeah, you can hear Rose saying it like that. But
yes, absolutely.
we hear a little bit that, like, Rose has just started up Callaway Couture. So, like, a reminder of how long she's been working on this. It was her first baby, but they run into each other, and she finds out he's there alone. His mom's not with him. She's like, your mom let a 15-year-old come all the way. They're in Baltimore. Come all the way to Baltimore for this alone. He goes, I'm not 15 anymore. You're 16. When was your birthday? But that day is his birthday. He turned 16 this day, and he asks her, what does it matter what age I am? I'm competent enough to be here alone. I don't need my mother to help me make decisions for me. I don't need her to hold my hand. And she's like, you're a minor, whether you like it or not. Connor, the world will always see you this way. And they just, like, have this discussion over, like, well, that's life. He goes, that's bullshit. Well, that's life. Sorry, that's the way it goes.
That's Connor's thing. He wants people to see him for his brain and not for his age.
Yeah, exactly. And he's trying to get Rose to see that too. She's not there yet. But he talks about how he's dodged every party she's attempted to throw, and it's become partly a competition, partly something soulful. I see how badly she wants me to love January 3rd. So back to the present. He was thinking about, like, this birthday, the first birthday that he's like celebrated with Rose when they were at this Ivy League thing. And then it flashes back to the day before his 27th birthday. And when he asked, like, did you get a flight in the morning? And they're like, oh, your pilot canceled and your flight's actually not getting out till 12:30. And he's like, fuck, this is gonna make my plans harder to get out of here if I have to wait for the middle of the day. As he's headed into the office, his assistant tells him the year prior, Lily and Rose had done birthday interviews that were like, Lily did hers on an Instagram live and Rose did, like, a reporter sent her questions, she emailed them back, and it was posted in like a magazine. And they're like, they also sent questions to Reich, so it's going to be Connor's turn, but this person is in his office. And he actually like has to sit down and do a sit-down interview with this person. But she just asks him a bunch of questions, and there are some sweet answers. Like, if you had to the time, he has sweet answers, but then he gives like his Connor Cobalt straightforward answers of like, and if you had a time machine, what moment would you pick to go back and live again? The day I met Rose, the day I married Rose, the day Rose gave birth to Jane. And he's like, I wouldn't go back in time. It's an impossible task for anyone. Yeah, the answers that you expect him to give, but we also get to see his insight into it.
Logic, not fantasy.
Exactly. So someone asked, if there's only one antidote for a viral disease, who would you give it to, Rose or Jane, and why? God, some of these questions are so...
That's terrible.
They asked the same... Yeah, they're terrible. They asked something similar to Rose, of like, pick Daisy or Lily. And she's like, what are you... I'm not going to pick between my sisters. No. Connor's like, it's a creative question, so I wouldn't fault its merit. But he doesn't enjoy what-if games. And he says he would choose Jane, because Rose would make him give it to her.
Yeah.
If you had to choose between Lily and Daisy to accompany you to Mars, who would you choose and why? Both would be horrible companions in a spacecraft, but mostly because I value my life. Lily would be frantic and Daisy would wander off.
That's true. It is true.
Yeah, it's just a bunch of questions for Connor, and like characterize these people, like give them a label. Lily, friend; Lauren, best friend; Daisy, sister-in-law, but in his head he says more and more like a little sister. Right. Our relationship is like a man and his dog. I'm the man, clearly. And at that moment, our relationship is nearly indescribable. I don't know what we are other than complicated friends, but I don't tell this to Holly.
Oh my God.
And it ends with like, she goes, happy birthday. Do you have anything fun planned? And he's like, I'm going to Hong Kong. And he says, the only person who could change the course of things, who believes I deserve something spectacular on January 3rd, will have to go great lengths to win. And Rose's odds, they're equal to mine. 50-50. But, I mean, we know her odds are looking pretty good. They looked pretty good.
Yeah, they're looking good.
Shoot, I forgot this bonus. There's Lo's 25th birthday interview, too. I love these.
Okay.
It's similar to the way Reich's went, where it's here's what happened. Lauren kept forgetting to fill out these fan questions, to Lily's horror. We can't let our fandom down, she declared, going into full-on panic mode the morning of Halloween while they were in bed. She tried to fill out the questions for him, but he stole the laptop from her, finally agreeing. The power of Lily Calloway's love of fandoms won him over. Also, she peered over his shoulder while he was typing, and she wants everyone to know that she's not responsible for any asshole responses. These are his results. What is your favorite birthday memory of a past birthday? This birthday, because I'm in bed with my puff. And to Queen Rose out there, I didn't cheat. My birthday started at 12:01 a.m. That is the past, so put your broomstick in the pantry. Now that you have a family of your own, are in a better place regarding your addiction, and have taken over Haleco, what kind of advice or words of encouragement would you give to the Lauren Hale at rock bottom? Stop fucking up. Obviously, I'm not good at giving goddamn advice. Imagine an alternate universe where you and Reich had grown up together in one household with the same parents. How do you imagine your relationship in that universe? Perfect. We'd be dressing alike every day, skipping down sidewalks, telling each other bedtime stories. You wouldn't even be able to separate us. Hashtag best friends.
Oh my God.
If you were told you had a terminal illness and had 6 months to live, what 3 things would be most important for you to do? 1 through 3. Convince Reich Meadows to never wear the fucking Green Arrow costume ever again. In all caps.
It's old. We've seen it. We all know he's going to wear that for Halloween.
Have you seen Parks and Rec? I talk about it all the time. But in Parks and Rec, Ron Swanson has a pirate costume that he wears in like the first Halloween
Yeah.
episode, and then later on he wears it again. I'm like, Ron, weren't you a pirate last year? He goes, yes, this is my Halloween costume. That's right.
Yeah, for sure.
Green Arrow is my Halloween costume. If you could commit any crime and get away with it, what would you do? Murder. Lily deleted who I want to murder, and she wants everyone to know that this is an exaggeration. I don't know why she's surprised. I'm sorted as a Slytherin, for Christ's sake. If you had a time machine, what moment in time would you pick to go back to and live again? The moment I first met Lily Calloway. I'd pinch her cheek again.
Oh my God.
But, gosh, there's so many questions. I won't go through them all, but it's very Lauren Hale-esque.
It's so cute. I love it.
I just love getting like these teensy bits of lore about them in these
Yes.
animes. But that concludes all of the bonus content and Fuel the Fire. Excellent job. There's only one more thing for you, which is
Yes.
the Fuel the Fire trivia quiz.
Oh God.
I'll walk you through
I
this.
blame ADHD.
I can walk us through this. All right, let's go.
I'm scared.
Question 1. I think this one might be the hardest. Snow White, Ariel, Rapunzel. What was Connor's answer to this fuck, marry, kill?
Kill Snow. No. Marry Rapunzel. Kill. He did definitely not fuck Ariel.
No, not fuck Ariel and not marry Ariel. So she's
Kill
a kill.
Ariel. Fuck Rapunzel. Marry Snow White.
Yes.
Marry Snow White. No.
Yeah, marry
That was
Snow
right?
White.
Okay.
Kill Ariel. Fuck Rapunzel. Okay. He nods once. It's our best chance, and then he recites, the worst is not, so long as we can say, this is not the worst. What play is Connor quoting? A, Hamlet, B, The Tempest, C, Macbeth, or D, King Lear?
King Lear.
Yes. What book did everyone get for Connor for Christmas?
Their favorite book.
Yes. Do you remember what books they are? Okay. So, who gifted The Chronicles of Narnia?
Lily.
Who gave him the blank journal? Who gave him A Song of Fire and Ice?
Low.
Who gave him The Tempest?
Rose.
And then The Iron King.
Daisy. Okay, good. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, this one's kind of tricky too. Oh my god. What is the Latin word for kiss?
I don't know.
That one is osculum.
Bad at trivia. I'm a bad test taker.
We're almost done. I promise. They get easier. This one you should get. She blinks in my soul, the embers slowly dying, and she tries feverishly to awaken me.
Fuels the fire.
Yeah. We're the Calloway sisters. We can do anything, right? Who says this? Is it Lily, Rose, Daisy, or Poppy?
Daisy.
So long as I may be blank, I blank with you. Fill in the blanks.
So long as I may be alive, I live with you.
Living, but yes.
Yes. So long as I'm living,
I
I
may
live
be
with
living. Yeah. Okay. And then last one. Ew, the smile. A says, ew, the smile is back. B says, get used to it. Blank. A says, I already am. Who is A and B? Is it A is Rose, B is Connor, A is Connor, B is Rose, or A is Rose, B is Low, or A is Low, B is Rose?
A is Low, B is Rose.
Yes. Good job. Excellent job.
I rate myself a solid D.
Definitely not a D. For sure. No, you definitely got the answers. You worked through it. They're hard. I make them so hard. It was also been a while.
They are hard.
I toe that line of like, do I make it really easy so anyone can get it? Or is the point of these to like test people to see how much they pay attention? But like, am I picking the right questions to see if they're paying attention?
Show your true colors. Are you really a fan?
Yes. If you're reading these books and you love them, you're a real fan.
Right.
But yes, so that officially concludes the Fuel the Fire discussions. We did it. I'm very impressed with us getting it done. I was thinking about everything that I wanted to say when I was like skimming through the last bit, and I was like, oh my god, I think I got like this much through, and I was like, I have so much to say about these chapters. It's going to take us forever. Yeah. But we did it.
I mean, it took about almost 10 hours to do all of it.
Yes.
It's a big book.
It is a big book. There's lots to talk about. You can't just skim over all of these details. It's not the point of this podcast.
Right.
But thank you for committing to 10 hours of talking about this book. I had a lot of fun talking about it with you.
Thank you so much for having me. It was so much fun. I will do it again. Let me know when you need me. I am happy to do it again.
You are more than welcome to come back for books in the future. I will, once I get to them. It's going to be a while. I still got a long way down. And
that's fine
to get through. Those are going to take me forever. Okay, but thank you. Thank you for joining me on this discussion podcast. Thank you all for listening. And until next time, continue to stay addicted to Krista and Becca's writing like us.